Welcome to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Anything and everything Star Wars with you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR.KyleJohansson.us. On the left-hand side is a
Join the Resistance.
You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet.
Happy New Year, Merry
we
Christmas.
Have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KyleJohansson.us. And now, it's time to talk Star Wars. I am Kyle John Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say hello.
Yep, that's me. I'm Kyle John Johansson. Andrew Scott Sutton will not be here with us. He is working, of course, doing his thing. So today we're going to be reviewing Star Wars Andor Episode 12, Rick's Road. Yeah, I know we're a little late, but things happen, and Christmas happens, and all that stuff happens. So, by the way, if you didn't hear, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, Kwanzaa, Ramadan. Oh, that's later. Hanukkah. Okay, we will be reviewing. Or talking about feedback. We'll discuss some Star Wars news that we have. Some pretty good news, sort of. It's just talking about what shows are going to be on in 2023 that we know of so far, and then we'll recap the episode with a little bit of discussion and a question of the week, and then a couple of predictions. Hopefully, if we can come up with something, because we know that Andor's coming back for a season 2. Unfortunately, it will be in 2024, not 2023, which really kind of sucks. I don't know why Disney can't handle that, but anyway, let me play this thingy. So that's a spoiler alert. That means that anything we're going to talk about could be spoilers going forward. So if you don't want to know these spoilers, then go watch some Andor, episode 12, Rick's Road, and then come back. This was season 1, episode 12 of Andor, Rick's Road. The episode was aired on November 23rd, 2022, and the running time was 57 minutes. Quite a long episode, but there was a lot to be had in there. It was pretty jam-packed, and we even got a post-credits scene. Ooh, that's exciting. Yeah, there's been rumor that they were going to do that for quite a while on this last episode. There is actually usually some sort of post-credits thing on most of the Star Wars shows, but Andor chose not to do that. Some of them would have drawings of the plans of what they were going to do, the storyboards of what they were going to do, or some of them would, show other things and stuff. But Andor chose not to do that until this last episode 12. So let's get into the news first.
It's time for the news.
All right, yeah, news. So this comes from StarWarsNewsNet.com. And it's a list of Star Wars content that's going to be on Disney Plus in 2023. There are no movies that are planned to be released this year, so that would negate all of that. So, all right, so there's going to be at least 6 different shows that we'll have content with. The first one's Bad Batch. and these aren't necessarily in the order that they're gonna air, but I think Bad Batch, Mandalorian, Young Jedi, Ahsoka, Visions, and Skeleton Crew might be the order. But let's go through here. So we got Bad Batch season 2, Young Jedi Adventures, and I'm going to give a little synopsis of what each one of these are here in just a moment. But Ahsoka, Visions season 2, Mandalorian season 3, and Skeleton Crew's brand new show. So season 2 of the Bad Batch is of course going to follow our crew. There's been a couple months past since the end of season 1, which, like I said, spoiler alert, Camino was destroyed, and they're trying to figure out who's their friend and who isn't their friend, and so on. And that starts on January 4th, 2023, real quickly, coming up. This season will have 16 episodes. And I have a list of those episodes here. Just a moment. Yeah, so January 4th, we're getting 2 episodes, one back to back. The first one's called Spoils of War, second called Ruins of War. I'll assume that they're tied together. January 11th, episode 3, Solitary Clone. 18th, episode 4, Faster. January 25th, episode 5, Entombed. February 1st, day before my birthday, episode 6, Tribe. And then February 8th is the mid-season finale, which that's weird. I don't know, but there's no real gap there, so I don't understand why. But mid-season, 7 and 8 come out at the same time, and let's just assume they're tied together, right? So episode 7 is The Clone Conspiracy. Episode 8, Truth and Consequences. February 15th, the following week, episode 9, The Crossing. February 22nd, episode 10, Retrieval. March 1st, Metamorphosis. Come back, NTM. How do I get that to go away? Yeah. All right. March 8th, episode 12, The Outpost. March 15th, episode 13, Abu. March 22nd, Tipping Point. March 29th, 2 episodes again at the same time. And this would be the finale for the season. Hopefully we'll have more seasons of Bad Batch. I think it's a really good show, and I think they could get at least 4 seasons out of it. But that's, Disney's choice, I guess. So March 29th, episode 15, The Summit, and episode 16, Plan 99, which I guess Clone Force 99. I don't know. That could be it. But anyway, that's the rundown of all the shows that are episodes that are happening. It's really kind of rare that we get every single episode name along with the number. We usually know when they're coming, but they kind of like to hide the names. But they were released by Disney a few weeks back before Christmas sometime. So there's that Bad Batch, and then we got Mandalorian season 3, supposed to release on March 8th or March 1st. I'm sorry, I said 8th because that's one of the dates for Bad Batch. So that means they're going to be running partially at the same time, and get episodes going through there. Looks like all the faithfuls are coming back. We got Din Djarin, of course. We got Bo-Katan, Grief Karg, Pele Mato, our favorite auto mechanic. We got the Armorer and Moff Gideon. Of course, there'll be more. And we believe that this season's going to deal with the Mandalorian trying to, claim his name, his reputation back, because he took off his helmet so many times that he is no longer a Mandalorian. They said the only way to redeem himself is to go into the caves and pull out a mythosaur that usually resides in the caves. And you know, legend has it that all of those are extinct. They've wiped them out by either hunting or whatever. And I think we'll find that this season is going to go through all that. Uh, we've got Rick Fumamai, Carl Weathers, and Dallas Bryce Howard are confirmed to be directors on episodes. And we've got a trailer out for them as well that everybody should have seen. The next show doesn't have a release date yet, but it's sometime in 2023. And it is the Young Jedi Adventures. It's set during the High Republic era, which the High Republic era is hundreds of years before Star Wars Episode 1. The Phantom Menace. It's hundreds of years before that. And we have to remember, Yoda was 900 years when he died, so this could have Yoda in it, could have other people we know. The premise of the show is following younglings as they study the ways of the Force and learn valuable skills needed to become a Jedi, such as compassion, self-discipline, teamwork, patience, and friendship. It will be the first show created for preschoolers, or directed towards them in some sort of way. I expect the episodes to be somewhat short, and so on. Got quite a list of things. Sorry, Celebration. Okay, so then the next one is Star Wars Visions Volume 2, which would be Season 2. And if you remember, Visions Season 1 was more of the cartoon stuff that was imaginings of different ways Star Wars could have be or could have come about, or the history of it, or so on. We had lots of animation houses working on it, and this year's Volume 2 has teams working on it from Chile, France, Japan, India, Ireland, Spain, South America, South Korea, the UK, and of course the United States, to show their animation abilities. And this one does not have a release date officially yet. It's safe to say that everything we've got following this does not have a release date either, but it's slated for 2023. Hopefully there's no delays in there, and from what I understand, majority of the episodes are already done on that, and there's probably only going to be like 6 or so that'll be fine. And the next one is the highly anticipated Ahsoka series. And we expect a lot out of this. My idea from the beginning is that all these shows that Dave Filoni has been working on is all building to something, and that something is probably a person who is blue and is a grand admiral of some sort. I'm sure you guys can guess. We talk about it all the time. We have, of course, Rosario Dawson and Natasha Liu Bzdizo, who's going to be Sabine Wren. And it says here that they're going to follow they're supposedly chasing down Ezra Bridger, who is the young Jedi in Rebels series. And there'll be other things going on, and I'm sure we'll see Anakin Skywalker at least once, and maybe we'll probably see a couple things of Darth Maul. Maybe who knows? Darth Maul is supposedly killed in Rebels by Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. We've seen that episode. So that's that one, and it's everybody is in love with Ahsoka and her story, and she is one of the best planned out, and I don't know. She just captures everybody's imagination. She's one of the first new uh, characters introduced that everybody has fallen in love with so much. And the next one is Skeleton Crew, which is set in the New Republic era. Which don't confuse with the High Republic, but New Republic is after the Return of the Jedi. New Republic era is then, and it eventually becomes the First Order time and such. It's about a group of kids lost in the Star Wars galaxy trying to find their way home. So they're out there lost. Let's see. They are being reports indicate that they will play two. There will be 4 kids. The show has been in production since July. It should wrap at any time. And this show has some potential. It is maybe kind of skewed towards children, but I don't think it is. I think it's more than that. I think it's these kids are discover things, and they have force abilities, and don't really realize that they're force abilities, and so on. And maybe one of them discovers that the others have something, and so on. So this could be an interesting show, and I'm kind of excited about this. They put a lot of emphasis on this during the Star Wars celebration earlier. But all right, and that's basically the news. Like I said, those last 3 or 4 don't have a actual date of start. The only 2 we have with start dates is The Mandalorian March 8th, and of course the Bad Batch on July 4th. The news. That's the news. So, all right, folks, it's time to grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, and join us in the Rebel Alliance briefing room. And here we are. All right, so folks, today's episode starts with they're working on a machine that it's got the one kid with the poofy hair working on a machine that's somewhere else, and we see that Supervisor Deidre Meeros lands at Ferrix spaceport in a Lambda class shuttle with 2 Death Troopers and guards that follow her, and we see that Bix is waiting in her cell, and that once Deidre Meeros arrives, she kind of peeks in on her through some cameras. Meeros is greeted by Captain Tigo, who says dinner is ready, and Meeros instead decides to walk the streets with Corey as her escort. Corey being one of her guards. and she changes clothes, and she changes into a casual outfit with a big hood on it. Kind of a robe, cape kind of thing. Um, and we see the kid still working on the machine. He's soldering and um assembling it and screwing stuff together, and he's being very, very careful because obviously he doesn't want to boom and explode or something, because we can tell it's a bomb. I knew from the start that he was assembling a bomb of some sort. And we see uh one of Brasso's colleagues inform him that he talked to Andor, and told him about his mother's funeral. Um, and Brasso tells him to keep it a secret. And this was the guy that Andor contacted at the end of the last episode. He called, and he told him his mother had died. Uh, and you know we know that there was someone else listening there, so that could be something else. And we saw someone listening when he was talking to Brasso just then. Um, and now we see Meero walking through the streets, um, and we see her walking through the streets, kind of figuring out what's going on, seeing if she recognizes anybody, and kind of surveying everything without everyone, wondering who she is and stuff. She's just kind of anonymous. And then we see the kid assembling the machine again. He's starting to, like I said, screw things together, push things in, attach wires and plugs, and he's getting it going. And he's looking at a hologram of his late father, Salman, um, which he died previously. Um, and then we see some people talking about the impact of Maarvas' death on Andor, and how they feel sorry for him, and that he's not here, and so on and so on. And this is the one guy that we saw earlier that was talking to Brasso, and another guy that's kind of we're not sure about. And he tells me, says, "Don't tell me anything that you don't want me to know." Because he doesn't want to know any secrets, because he might be the wrong person to tell, is kind of what he's telling him. Yeah, so then we go back to Coruscant, and Mon Mothma confronts her husband Perrin about his gambling. She's waiting for him in the speeder. He comes in, and she confronts him, so that the driver can overhear. Cloris, um, even though they have privacy, he still has a bug in there so he can hear. And she tells him to take his gambling off world to Canto Blight, which that's the Canto is where we saw in one of the movies where we had the it was the sequel movies where they went to the casino and were looking for the guy with the green brooch or whatever. Uh, that's Canto Blight. Um, Perrin gets angry and denies he has a gambling problem, and he says that someone's trying to set him up, and or trying to take her down, and using him to do that. He hints that whoever is behind the revelation of his gambling activities is aware of her covert activities, and he asks where he would get the money, and Mothra responds that concerns her the most. Where would she get it? Where would he get it? Perrin says someone is lying to her, which Mothma agrees, and she agrees that it's possibly him, at least for the intent of Cloris hearing it, overhearing it in the speeder. And that scene gets over, and we're kind of like, maybe this is how she's going to cover up her money losses that she can't retrieve back. when she gets audited here in any time. So, maybe that's why in future movies and stuff we don't see her husband around. Who knows? So back on Ferrix, we see Val and Cinta. They're of course doing their watching, looking for Andor, so that they can capture him and take him to the boss and get him killed, so that he doesn't talk. They've been watching the ISB and notice that Meero has arrived. Cinta thinks that they are getting ready to trap Andor. Val is aware of the situation and says that they need to get there first. And Val tells Cinta to come away from the window, because Cinta is very focused on her her mission, and Val wants her to pay attention to her a little bit too, because they both know that they could die from this particular mission that they're on, and they just kind of she just wants a few moments together, and then we see it's dark, and the city is quiet, and we notice Andor roaming the streets. He touches the inscription that with his father's stone on the wall. Kind of, what's going to happen with his mother Maarva. There's a stone there with his father's name on it, and he touches and kind of remembers and reflects on some words that Klim told him, and they are that man who sees everything is more blessed than cursed, which I don't really know what that means. He does, you don't want to know everything, I guess. Andor sees a flashback of his father teaching him how to wash and recycle used machines in the means of saving money. Andor climbs Brix's scrapyard and is confronted by huge canines, those ugly dog-looking things, and these dogs, I don't get why they keep showing these dogs, because they're totally crazy looking. And he sees they call him a custodian, but he's the boss. He's Bix's boss, basically. His name's Pegla, and he talks to Pegla. He says, I was coming to look for Bix, and Pella says that Bix has been captured by the Empire, and that she's being held in a cell at the hotel. And we see Andor trying to figure out how he's going to get in there. He's reading Nimic's manifesto about freedom and the source of strength when struggle becomes impossible. And there's a lot of things in there about how there's always going to be a resistance to the force and power. And people don't even realize they're enlisted in the cause. They just know what they believe in. He talks about a diverse rebel cell being part of a galactic struggle. The Imperial need for control is unnatural, since tyranny requires constant effort. Authority is brittle, and oppression is the mask of fear. And he talks about small skirmishes and battles that turn into bigger and bigger, and it's just a tidal effect, or a building upon effect, where eventually they become big enough that they overwhelm the galactic empire. One thing will break the siege. And now we're back with Meero and Tigo. Tigo informs that the forces have pulled back their air traffic and uniform patrols have relaxed the curfew. Tigo tells her the trap is ready. When Meero asks when the funeral is, Tigo says the Empire has delayed the funeral for 2 hours after lunch. After negotiations with the daughter of Ferrix, they assigned half Rix Road and allowed the maximum of 40 people after originally saying 30. And this is where Meeros asks who these daughters of Ferrix are, and another officer says they're a social club, and Maarvas served as their president at some point. And Keswick says they will have snipers and local containment and units stationed nearby. Meeros rules that the use of snipers rules out the use of snipers because she wants Andor captured alive. Val walks past an Imperial speeder manned by army troops carrying 2 stormtrooper snipers. Elsewhere, the ISB officers Belvin and Cloris discuss an audio recording of Mothma and Perrin's conversation in the speeder from earlier, and the gambling problem. And Belvin thinks that they can exploit Perrin's gambling problems as leverage against Mothma, while Cloris thinks that Perrin has been gambling before. Belvin also discusses Mothma's recent financial transactions and informs his comrades that they are missing news of. And then Officer Larrigate informs them that they're missing the news about the Krieger project. And, there's talk there between Cloris and Belvin that that this could the gambling could explain Mothma's recent financial transaction problems. And Belvin leaves the briefing room to go hear about the Krieger operation. And they announced ISB officers have the entire team was killed and that they can close the case. The sole dissenter is Meeros, who speaks via comlink since she's off world. We know she's on, waiting for Andor on Ferrix. Partagas justifies the decision to make no prisoners by saying that eliminating a Krieger's cell was intended to please the Emperor following the Aldani heist. Meeros says they needed prisoners for intelligence gathering purposes. Partagas tells her to capture the elusive Axis to find that information. Elsewhere, we see Luthen exit his hull craft, and he rides a speeder across the rocky surface in Ferrix. And we see that Corey realizes the man he's following is not Andor because they've been duped. They thought they were following him, and there was someone else that was looking like him. Pelgala arranges for Andor to meet Pelgala, the guy who was in the Bix's business, basically his her boss, arranges a meeting between Andor and Brasso in the underground tunnels of Ferrix. Andor talks about regretting leaving Bix, and Brasso passes a message from Maarvas, where Maarvas says that it's not his fault and describes him as the first spark in the fire. Maarva also describes Andor as unstoppable force for good, and Brasso tells Andor that Maarva loves him despite his faults. It's a kind of almost a tearjerker type of moment there, and it's a little sad. There's a little pause there. And we see Pelgala watching out on the streets for Andor so he can get out from the tunnel and go where he needs to go, which he's going to go rescue Bix. He tells him the street is clear and And this is when Brasso tells Andor she's in the hotel and he thinks the Empire is keeping her alive for a reason. Andor is determined to rescue her. Brasso says that they will take care of the funeral while Andor rescues Bix. Meanwhile, a disguised Cyril Karn and Linus Mosk travel on hover bus towards the Ferrix Business Center. And if you notice in this scene, they trade hats. That's kind of so Cyril can have the captain's hat back or whatever that supervisor hat was. So he kind of feels better because he's kind of depressed that he doesn't have that job still. And we see Andor in a hiding place that's up above. It looks like he can see through these little slits in a building. And he's watching stormtroopers go up and down the streets. Val meets with Luthen and discusses Meeros. Luthen briefly tells Val that they need to assassinate Andor and tells her to get in touch with Cinta, who is watching Andor's household. And he tells her to pull everything and watch the hotel. And then we hear the time grappler bang on the blocks, the stones in the basically the tower that kind of bong dong bong with the anvils and stuff, and signals the beginning of the funeral, which throws off a lot of the Empire because they're going at the original time and not the 2 hours later time that they negotiated. And you can see musicians getting their instruments warmed up so they can start. And Luthen is roaming the streets. Karn and Mosk, Cyril Karn and Mosk also travel in disguise through the town. And we see the musicians start to lead a procession through the streets. And there's several groups of musicians. I'd say 3 at least, and they all kind of are leading their own crowd, and they all converge into this town center. And we see that Val and Cintas and Corey and everybody's kind of slip into the crowd looking for certain people. We know Andor, but and we see Andor's looking through his hidey hole spot, and he sees several people, and he notices Luthen. Um, Meanwhile, we see Brix watching or listening from her cell and listening to music and celebrating the death of Maarva as she would if she weren't in the prison. And at the Ferrix Hotel, Miro warns Captain Tigo that she wants Andor alive, and a large crowd of citizens gather in Rick's Road. Imperial troops arrive to confront the funeral procession. B2MEO leads the procession with Carrie and Death Troopers in pursuit. Andor flees into the sewer, which leads to the kitchen of the Imperial Hotel. And we see this here where, like I said, the crowds of musicians and people all kind of converge into this center area. Imperial forces watch as the funeral attendees begin to chant "Stone and Sky, Stone and Sky." Almost kind of made me think that they were going to do something then, and nothing happens. It's just part of the ceremony. Stone and Sky, meaning the stone that they're celebrating with Maarva on it is she's going up into the sky, into the heavens. And we're back at the hotel, and Andor hears the cook and holds him at gunpoint, and he asks where Bix is. He apparently knows the cook, and the cook gives him directions before expressing his condolences for Maarva. And we see during the marching, the beginning they're going really slow, and at the very end, when they get all into the center, they speed up really fast and walk much faster. And we see B2MEO kind of get excited and such. And they finally come to an end point, and uh, B2MO plays a hologram recording of Maarva, who talks um, about the funeral stone. And the first time while she was 6 years old, she was walking the funeral square with her sisters and is inspired. She tells the assembled crowd that she wants Ferrix to go on without her. Obviously, she says the people have been sleeping. She says that they've turned away from the truth and been ignoring the darkness spreading throughout the galaxy. She describes the Empire as a disease that thrives in darkness when they sleep. She urges them to fight. She urges them. She says, "We have to fight." And Captain Tigo can't take this anymore, and he overturns B2MEO, and puts his coat over the top of him. This angers the crowd, and they begin to attack the Imperial troopers who are equipped with riot gear. Andor navigates his way through the hotel and knocks out a soldier. And I think he shoots him too. As the crowd fights the army, an officer orders his men to shoot the time grappler, the guy hitting the anvil in the tower. And the stormtrooper goes on his way. Andor finds Bix in her cell and tells her he's come to free her. Bix is reluctant to leave because she thinks that they'll be angry at her and torture her even more. Because she's definitely traumatized. You can see she's turned into herself quite a bit. Meeros gets accosted by some protesters, and we see the kid that's been making the bomb. He hurls the bomb at a vehicle carrying explosives, scattering the crowd and the Imperial soldiers. The bomb explodes, and like it said, it was carrying explosives, so there's multiple explosions related to that. Kisek issues orders to open fire on the crowd as protests descend into a skirmish. The stormtroopers and the army open fire on the civilians and protesters, killing several. Corey finds Cinta in the streets, but she stabs him. And then she basically pulls him into a residence or something and stabs him and then closes the door. Pegala evacuates B2MO from the streets while stormtroopers use laser turrets to open fire on the crowd. And Pegala's got a rope tied around B2MO, and he's pulling him across the ground to get him out of the crowd. We see Andor carrying Bix out of the hotel, which has been also damaged by the explosion. They also pass a couple people knocked out by the debris. A stormtrooper attempts to stop the time grappler, but the guy basically kicks him out as soon as he enters the tower area that he's at. Meeros is attacked by the mob, but saved from being lynched by Cyril. He jumps in there and grabs her and hides her inside of a storeroom. Meeros is initially angry, but reluctantly thanks Karn or Cyril. Luthen watches the uprising from a distance. Elsewhere, Cinta reunites with Val and Val is concerned about the blood but Cinta realizes that's not her blood. It's the blood from the guy she stabbed him. Um, and then we see a scene where Pegala is helping Brasso prepare a ship for liftoff. They're having trouble with the fuel gauge inside the vehicle. It's not showing that it's full when it should be full. And she tells her to take a wrench inside, which it's the new president of the daughter Ferrix. He says, "Bang it with the wrench and it'll come back." And she does that and um, reports back that it's showing full fuel. Um, and we see they're loading it up. All the people are getting on there, and Andor shows up with Bix and convinces them. Andor convinces to evacuate Bix and advises them to escape Ferrix. He gives them directions. Fly low and push it hard as soon as you get certain speed or out there, and then boom, hit it to hyperspeed and go to the location that they talked about. Cassian bids B2MO, Bix, Pegla, and Wilmon farewell and promises to find them. While the ship flies away, Andor heads back to Ferrix town center. A despondent Mosk sits at the street corner and he's drinking. He's upset that everything's even worse than before. Meanwhile, we see Mon Mothma and Farron introducing their daughter Lida to Steeken Soldum, the mobster that she's getting money loaned to son, and their mother Renee Skulden. So basically they're getting an introduction. And he said that they promised not necessarily a marriage, but just an introduction. So that's what's happening. Then we see Luthen board his ship, and he tells the droid to prepare for departure, but as soon notices that the ship is not responding like normal and not talking to him, and Andor confronts him in the cockpit and asks if he came to kill him. When Andor hands him his blaster, Luthen asks what his game is. Andor says this is no game and dares Luthen to kill him or take him in. And we see Luthen smile and decides to recruit Andor for more missions, of course, which leads into season 2 as they craft him to become a operative. And like I said before, this episode had a post-credits scene, and we go to another part of the galaxy. We see a bunch of droids assembling some machinery, and it appears to be the actual items that were being produced at the Narkina 5 prison. And it's parts that go on the dish for the Death Star. And we see it's probably just a 2-minute scene where we see the parts being assembled as the camera pulls away, so we can finally see that it's the Death Star. So, and that ends our episode.
Are you planning your next trip to Tatooine? Well, come on down to Pelly's Mod and Repair Shop, where our droids will spruce up your wagon. We'll service just about anything from Starfighter Corellian Y1300 freighter to a Vespa hovering scooter. If we don't have the part, we can get it. If you qualify for our special program, we'll provide you with any part our Jawas can get. Well, that's right. Come on down to Pelly's Mod and Repair Shop, where we can store fuel and upgrade your vessel. We're located at Tatooine's Mos Eisley Spaceport. Hangar 35.
That's right. Tatooine. So yeah, we expect to see Peli Motto in her mod repair shop on The Mandalorian season 3 this year. Yeah, that's right. So that's what we talked about earlier. So that episode, I have a question of the week that we should talk about, and I'm asking, is Luthen a Jedi, or does he just collect Jedi tech? Is he a Jedi? Because we've talked before that Scott believes he might be, he might be a Sith of some sort. So I've got a poll out there, question of the week. You can find it on the left-hand side of the website page, and it'll be under question of the week, of course. And it is Luthen a Jedi or just a collector of Jedi tech? First response that you can pick is no, his business is to sell collectibles. Second one is yes, he uses his business as a cover. No, a Jedi would not sell Jedi tech. Yes, look at all the ways he dresses just like one. All right, so go ahead and go out there and answer that. We've got a season 2 coming up. Probably not until 2024, which is a long time. Kind of disappointing. But this season 2 will kind of speed up a little bit, and it'll show us Andor's journey to Rogue One, and how he becomes part of the Rebel Alliance. You can see over there, top of my head, join the Rebel Alliance. Over here, Rebel Alliance logo. Yeah, so we look forward to that. We look forward to seeing more of Mon Mothma and what happens in her situation. And I really wonder what happens to Luthen too, because he is nowhere else in Star Wars that we know of. He's only been in this Andor show. So what happens to him? Does Andor take over Luthen's position when Luthen gets killed at some point? Well, we don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out soon. So let's talk about feedback, right? That's right. So we have many ways for you to send us feedback. The first one would be just answering the question of the week. Again, on the left-hand side of our website, there's a link that says feedback. You fill out a form. We ask you 2 questions. We ask you what you want to be called, any name. We don't care if it's your real name or if it's whatever. And then what your feedback is. You can challenge us. You can correct us. You can yell at us. You can agree with us. You can do whatever you want to. That feedback will be read into the show when we do our next episode. And please do that, because we have yet to receive any feedback that is from anyone else. So we're looking forward to hearing your opinions and general feedback. We also have email address, feedback at KyleJohansson.us. That's feedback at KaileJohansen.us. Yeah, my name's spelled funny, so you can do that. Let's see. We also have social media. We have a Twitter account. If you go on the left-hand side of our website and click on Twitter, basically social media, we have 2 accounts there. We have a super_duper_pod, and Juan's Cantina, which you'll probably hear from next week as one of our commercials. So we have those ways. You can also find us on quite a few podcast hosts. We're on Google, Apple, you know, Google, Apple. We've got one on Giles Savan, which is an Indian thing. We're on Podchaser. We're on Podcast Addict. We're on YouTube and several other places. You'll find us just about anywhere you find your podcasts. On YouTube, we do have video of this podcast, and the video is interesting sometimes. Sometimes it's pretty boring. Please, there is a section there to comment as well. Please comment there if you can. Thank you for listening. This is the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room. Thank you for listening to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast.
Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR.KyleJohansson.us. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KyleJohansson.us. This podcast in no way is approved, sponsored, or owned by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. All opinions are solely owned by Kyle and or Scott, and in no way express the views or opinions of their past or present employers. Views and opinions are not supported or restricted by Lucasfilms Ltd.,
No.
Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this podcast and its affiliate sites without consent of Super Duper Podcast Network and its host is prohibited. I am Kyle Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say goodbye now.
Goodbye now. Hopefully we'll see Andrew Scott Sutton soon. Goodbye now.